Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy, the Hip Hop Lobbyist, and I'm amazed that we have almost hit 400 subscribers on the Hip Hop Lobbyist political channel. I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for being amazing, for helping build a community here. And today, we're going to listen to Jasmine Crockett's testimony. They say it's against Pam Bondi or response to Pam Bondi's comments about her, but we're going to tap in. But I want to say something very crucial, very early first. I know that as a black male operative, that sometimes our critiques of female professionals in this space can come off as if that's like, oh, we're attacking black women, right? I want to be very clear and transparent. I love Jasmine Crockett. I don't have a problem with Jasmine Crockett. I think she's very attractive and very needed for the process, right? And not attractive in a very disrespectful way. I think attractive as in, hey, you know, this is something new, some young blood that's in the process that's going to attract more people, a younger generation, to the process to be more involved. However, I do also feel sometimes that some of the shit ain't necessary, right? It's kind of like Hakeem Jeffries. I think him saying all this shit about Trump and then showing up to shake his hand and get a pin after he gets inaugurated, bruh, shut the fuck up. Sit your ass down. It's not what real leaders, gangsters do. It's not what we elect people to do is say, hey, yes, process, work for us, but don't talk shit about somebody, then go shake his hand and get a photo op. Like, that's not the fucking game we signed up for. But either way, today's video, we're going to watch Jasmine Crockett's testimony before committee. I will hop in and say my 2 cents and interject every now and then. I know we got a picture of Jim Jordan up here, so some of you may be confused, but let's get into the video for what it is.
Thank the chairman. I now recognize the ranking member of the subcommittee, Jasmine Crockett.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. And I first just want to begin with a news alert. Guess what? Joe Biden is not the president anymore. So maybe we can move on. Maybe we can move into the present because it seems like we are living in the past. And listen, these are not the good old days, you know, like you used to sit around and your grandparents would talk to you about what used to happen. What we need to be talking about is how we are going to legislate, because I think that some of my colleagues have confused what our jobs are. And I get that we're sitting in judiciary. And so it may seem as if we are here to be litigators, but we are here to be legislators, which means that we are supposed to be writing.
I'm not going to hold you. I've heard that a lot from a lot of newly elected members who take the newer position that they have and kind of, how do they say, emphasize, put more emphasis on the construct or really their job. Right? It's not out of place, but it's a good segment to say, okay, cool, I guess this is the water's boiling in the pot. We're gonna see where this conversation goes, right? Because that's typically, from my years of seeing political debates and not even debates, just conversations. This is just the boiling pot of something that should be really amazing, but we'll see.
Laws, not trying to have our own trials and determine whether or not something is true or not, or whatever the case is, or who should be sued, who shouldn't be sued. All I know is that a great American hero, a good senator out of New Jersey, said something to the effect yesterday as he was shattering the record for holding the floor, a record that had been held by another racist in this country. As he shattered that, he said something about the fact that this should not be about left versus right. It should be about right versus wrong. And I am going to tell you that I want us to focus on right versus wrong. The reason that we are struggling right now in this country as it relates to people not trusting agencies, honestly, a lot of it is because of elected leaders. Let me tell you.
That's facts. You know what I'll say it is? People, regardless, Democrat or Republican, people stop believing in the process when it's bullshit. And in my generation, at least, you know, I've seen George Bush, Clinton, Bush again, H.W. Bush, and then Obama, Trump, Biden, Trump. Either way, I've seen bullshit. And like I feel most Americans really see is that what happens is you all get elected on the promises and the bullshit that you promised to the people to say, you know, hey, this is why I'm voting for this person. They're going to help America fight back against 9/11, fight against the war in Iraq, fight against taking our country back, all this shit. And then in the midst of it, while we've all bought into the narrative of, hey, yes, this is what we have voted for, what we realized is the politicians are pimping us. So that's why we don't trust in the process of what the shit they're selling, right? That's why on at least the Democratic side, it's harder to get people to believe in the nonsense to go vote because they see the real shit like, bro, y'all only coming around when you say some shit and need some shit. Like everything that you're talking about Donald Trump doesn't change the fact of the shit that's happening every day. Now, we can talk about tariffs, we can talk about the stock market, but if you don't know how to trade stocks, you don't know how to trade options, you don't know how to do the rest of the shit, are you really, what does it fucking matter? If you don't have any stocks in the market, tanks, okay, cool, I don't give a shit. The rich motherfuckers got stocks. That's the mindset of people, right? However, there's a part of saying people don't believe in it because guess what? All we see is this. All we see is, okay, you have a talking point, something going viral, people love it online, but it never translates into, I'm actually going to go vote. To be real. Let's get back to it.
One of the things that the chairman and I actually agree upon, we don't agree on a lot, is that we both know that there has been a sharp incline as it relates to threats upon our lives. Regardless of what side of the aisle you sit on, we both know and agree that as sitting members of Congress, we both are enduring more death threats than anybody should in this country.
Facts, I believe
And
it.
I believe that it is because of the divisive rhetoric and it is because of the selective enforcement of things. And so when we have, and I'm gonna be clear because I had remarks and I'm going a whole other way.
Oh,
To have the sitting attorney general
here we go.
go on, and I'm gonna call it faux news. I know some of y'all love it, but it's fake to me. To have her go on Fox News and to then decide that she wanted to send a threat to me,
There we go.
it was wrong.
There we go.
Because here it is, she is the highest law enforcement agent in this country, and people are watching and they are consuming this information and they are believing
Everything.
that simply because I decided that I wanted to exercise my right to free speech, which I am not abridged from doing,
That's right.
that
Go ahead,
she
sis.
then wanted to then politicize something that should not be politicized. I don't like Elon Musk. I'm gonna say it 50,000 times. I don't like him. I don't like that he going out there and he firing people. I think that he's a crook because somehow the rest of us can't sit around and get whatever federal contract.
See, and the thing is, I love what Jasmine Crockett is doing right now, right? I love it. The issue is, and you see it and I see it, and it's not to be critical. I love black women, right? All they see is the head shaking, the hair moving, and the finger swagging, right? And that's why the white folks are gonna say ghetto. They're not gonna listen to nothing she says, right? That's how they're gonna attain it, as all Democrats act this way. Because again, to be respectful, Cory Booker did have the filibuster, but Jasmine Crockett and them had a protest outside the building with Maxwell Frost and some other Democrats to say, hey, yeah, we can't get in. We're elected. This shouldn't be happening, right? There's a way to amplify or at least show impacts the process. My opinion, right? You don't have to agree with it. It is what it is. But I love what she's saying for the culture. But politically, you know that shit's gonna sit down like, oh yeah, here's the ghetto stuff. And that's the part where it's like, you know what, now, when it gets down to the substance of the shit, what they're gonna look at is, all right, cool, you're elected. Are you elected just to be a talking head on issues that we don't agree with, to fight and stop? Roland Martin type type shit. Or are you elected to stop and change this shit? Like having a policy, and I know that it's hard. Like it's Republicans running it. How is she supposed to do something as a Democrat? And, you know, they just lost. I get it. I'm not being naive to the bullshit. But it's like we just seen an example of process, at least Cory Booker having an attempt to have an example of what process should look like to derail some shit or at least get our voices out there. But I agree with what she's. I don't have no problem with what Jasmine Crockett's saying and doing. But I do feel that it does give off and portray, oh shit, and the white folks tune out. And not just the white people. I think a lot of other people who are like, you know what, I'm not trying to hear this shit. Even some brothers be like, listen, I'm not trying to hear this ghetto shit. Like brothers who probably went to Howard, Hampton, Virginia Union, shit, Lander College, motherfucker. Like it doesn't even matter. There's some brothers who out there like, yeah, I don't want to see that. And I'll say it from this, I've done some shit politically where elected members who would act just like this in camera, in committee, be like, yeah, I don't want to see that shit. Politics. I want it to be more, hey, leave that outside. We're coming here. But then there's a part of, respectfully, there's a part that's needed of this to make people tune in. Because without this, they don't give a shit. But then the issue is, respectfully, they're tuning into this just to hear the speech. Like, oh, yeah, she went off. They're not paying attention to shit else that's happening in politics, right? So that's why I feel like, okay, cool. This is great. But then it's the other part of saying, all right, cool. After this, after you've seen this, sign up for my workshop to learn how to write a statute. Sign up to my workshop, not just to intern and get a job placement. Sign up so you can actually be effective and learn who the local elected officials are and learn the different structures and trust funds and things that run government so you can be effective locally, right? At your state level, regionally across a certain section of the country, and at the federal level. To me, that's a counter. Because it's kind of like, respectfully, people in business will get it. It's like, you ever have a lead generation where it's like, okay, you send people to a website, but you have nothing to convert their experience on your website? That's exactly what's happening here. I love Jasmine Crockett, but unless we have something that's going to say, hey, take it from the conversation that is clickable, that's readable, that has baller alert and world star going, oh shit, yeah, girl. Thank you for fighting for us. Yes, yes, rah, rah, 5 stars, 5 hearts, 5 fires under that comment, right? Let's teach these people how to change policy and shit. Because I know, and the Congresswoman knows, when she gets out of that committee and she leaves her staff, she takes the pin off, the Gucci pin and that necklace showing that she's a member of the process. She knows that there ain't no niggas that she gonna see in the building besides her. And she knows without those pins and without the justification of her being there, which those pins show the justification of her being there, that ain't no other niggas that's learning and implementing the process like they're looking for you to do here. So my biggest thing is we can get the clickbait by having these conversations, reclaiming time, but let's also reclaim time and teach these people to do shit. And reclaiming time as in shit, niggas ain't know how to read for 200. By the time niggas learned how to read, they had already had 200 years of loss. By the time we were catching up, we were already behind. And we're still behind. So in order for us to not be so behind, guess what? Let's go ahead and make these clickable moments here. Let's make them learnable so that by the time the people click and learn, they're in your funnel to learn how to change a statute in their local state or wherever the fucking they are. Like some kind of law, some kind of government. That's what I'm saying. But let's get back to the content.
We want. The rest of us can't sit around and get law enforcement and get them somehow ordained as federal law enforcement to protect him. The rest of us can't get our dealerships protected by the federal government. That is somebody that is operating above the law. For whatever reason, just because he has a lot of money, more money than everybody else. And yes, I am happy to see that on my birthday, which is what I said, there were peaceful protests around this world against him because he is a problem. And so you never should have somebody that is sitting that high and is going to sit up here and threaten a sitting member of Congress when she knew good and well, if she watched the entire thing, that I specifically told protesters to make sure you consult with lawyers, just like I've told protesters over and over and over in the history of me advising people to go out and exercise their constitutional right. The fact that there are other sitting members that have received letters of threat from this new DOJ tells me that they are about retribution and they are not about following the law.
Now, she did eat that motherfucker alive, and I don't have no issue with Pam Bondi. I'm gonna be real with you. That was a great response. Again, this right here is gonna have the internet on fire by some Jasmine Crockett. I love it, right? There's no negative comments about Jasmine Crockett. However, I do see how they try to attack, because you know what they're looking at? They try to flip those Greg Abbott comments about Hot Wheels down in Texas, which is flipped into an attack on people in wheelchairs and handicapped folks. And I was kind of taking like, I don't really fuck with this comment for what it is. However, I do realize I do realize and see that guess what? They're going to take an angle to attack you. As any black woman in America would know, they're going to take an angle to attack you. But the thing is, when you are a linguistic, you are a rapper, when you are a person who is a poet, someone who's good off the cusp, you know how to clap back. And this is a great clap back by the Congresswoman. Let's finish it up. But that last 45 seconds, that was everything for me.
The reason that our party, or I won't even say our party, our country is torn apart is because we can't even agree on right versus wrong.
Wait a minute. No, the party's torn apart too. Because we can't decide what is a priority. Is a priority the select few of elitists who need student loans repaid and wiped away? Are the select few that need it? Are the elitists of, I have a class of people that need to be protected from anyone else? Or is it the middle class workers? Is it the African American? Is it the black male? Is it the black female? Is it the minority community as a whole? What is it? Because Democrats are split, just like this country is split. Because, and I hate to say it because Trump did win by a lot. However, realistically, we're not seeing eye to eye on shit. Unless we're at a bar having a drink, and I know the Congresswoman can attest to it, that may be the only thing. It could be a blunt. That may be the only time we'll ever find peace of mind on some like politics shit, right? It's the same with religion. When you think about it, we have to agree to disagree, but the emotions that are boiled in conversations like this across the board are saying like, you know what, damn, hey, I don't give a fuck about your opinion. You're wrong and you're racist. Nothing you can do about it. And the other side is saying, well, shit, I disagree with you. I'm racist. There's nothing racist about me. I have black friends. They don't care because that's all we have. But let's get back to it.
This should not be left versus right. The only thing that we're asking is that we have law enforcement that will show up when there is an actual crime. If somebody calls and says, hey, I need you to investigate this cyber crime, or I need you to investigate this child pornography, or I need you to investigate this robbery, then we want somebody to show up, and we don't want them to look at us and act as if just because I'm black or because I'm woman, that I am not worthy of having that case investigated, because we have an administration that is continuously railing against diversity, equity, and inclusion, or we don't need people that show up that feel like diversity should not be valued. That is why we should have somebody that may show up and looks like me. The final thing that I'll say, because you've been gracious, is this. When I first became...
You saw that? That's another piece of respect in the process. Be like, you know what, hey, I'm probably over my time, but you let me speak, and I haven't got too disrespectful, so I appreciate you. So next time I do this, at least give me leeway to do this shit.
I'm a public defender. I had no criminal defense experience. And I walked in and I told my boss, Charlie, I said, listen, you should hire me. He said, why? I said, because I'm black. Charlie looked at me like I was crazy. And I said, let me tell you something. When I walk in, I'm going to walk in with a level of rapport and understanding that maybe some of my other colleagues will not. Charlie offered me my job, and I worked my butt off, and I worked really, really hard for all of my clients, not just those that look like me.
See, and that's a good and bad of DEI, because I know y'all heard it. I know y'all see it. And I know they ad popping up in the middle. I'm not paying for YouTube yet. It is what it is. But this is the part where they're going to try to flip it to say, yeah, Jasmine Crockett, as she says, her words, not mine.
I'm going to walk in with a level of rapport and understanding that maybe some of my other... Charlie looked at me like I was crazy. And I told my boss, Charlie, I said, listen, you should hire me. He said, why? I said, because I'm black. That
is going to cause some problems. And I don't have no problem with Jasmine Crockett, but you know and I know that's exactly what they're taking with it. They're going to say, you know, you weren't even qualified to be a public defender. You weren't even qualified. You went in there, you forced this man, and you told him you were black, and all of a sudden he said, you know what, I guess I got to hire you because you painted a picture that black folks are getting arrested without any kind of black representation, and I'm going to feel bad and guilty and racist about it on some CRT stuff because my granddaddy could have been a Klansman, but maybe he wasn't, and all of a sudden, I have given you a job. That's exactly what they're talking about. To where we don't have a good argument for that. And I get it. From perspective, yes, sometimes you got to say, listen, y'all have a whole lot of black customers coming through here, but you have no black person behind the counter. And maybe they are robbing from y'all and trying to steal from y'all because they don't feel comfortable. But if you put me up there, they're going to look and be like, hey, bro, if I steal from here, it's going to cost his brother his job. So I'm not going to say it's always going to be that way. Not to say that Jasmine Crockett wasn't qualified for the job just because she was black and an attorney. But this is a situation where the DEI piece of everything that they're talking about, they're trying to remove, this is what they were trying to take away. But the issue we're not saying, as we talk about the nepotism of LeBron James and things like that, I'll put my son in the NBA, and you got Jerry Jones who put his son on, and you have Mark Davis who handed the Oakland Raiders or Vegas Raiders off to his son, Mark. It happens that way where unqualified people get jobs every fucking day. And I had managers who weren't qualified and they managed me. And I've had people who were qualified enough for a position, but they were overlooked for various reasons. I remember one time I was working at a bank, personal story before we log off here. I was a personal banking specialist. As then, I was a person I was a banking teller. So you come in, deposit, whatever it is. I can handle up to $250,000, be responsible for it every week, to a dime to the penny. So that as a commercial teller, people coming in. However, I knew that my value was opening new accounts, checking and savings accounts, right? Being a personal banking representative, two different things. So I remember, not same situation because I was in a ritzy white area, super wealthy area of Palm Beach. However, I told the manager, like, hey, man, I want to be behind the register. I want to open my accounts. And they basically told me, like, you know what, hey, it's experience, whatever. And it came back, like, they give black people a longer run. I have 6 to 8 months of bank till. You'll be fine. We'll get you there. Then it also reminded me, as I'm telling this story, of when I was a bag boy at Winn-Dixie. And they wouldn't put me on the teller machine. Think about that, life full circle, right? They wouldn't put me on as a cashier in the grocery store in Winn-Dixie because the manager didn't trust black people. But it was a fact of me showing, like, hey, I'm not going to steal. I had to overly show that and overly exert that and kind of diminish the fact of me being black to show that I'm qualified for this position. Regardless of me being black, I've shown that I can actually do this job and I can count. You have to worry about the till being short with me. That's the thing that black people have had to deal with on the other side of D. And I dealt with that, no bullshit. That was like 7th, 8th grade, right? For the grocery store piece. And I was after high school, some college, for the banker piece. So just those two different avenues of life, that gap that's there, you can see how the DEI piece is like, damn, well, shit. I shouldn't have to tell them I'm qualified and my main qualification is I'm black for the situation because of my overall experiences there. But sometimes we need to because that's all we got. Not from saying that we're not qualified, but you know what? We just need to say this is something you may not have considered. Because you looked at my resume, and on my resume, I'm just compared to the other person. But when you really get down to the nitty gritty, you see me in person, how personable I am, how easy I am to speak with your customers and work with them and other things of that nature. Maybe I am qualified, and maybe it'll make your black, rich customers more comfortable coming to talk to a personal banking specialist with them, so that they can talk about wealth strategies with them. Because talking to it with Megan and Kelly and everyone else that's really white in their credit form, maybe the black man working here, maybe he deserves opportunity. And what happened, no bullshit, true story, I was one of the top personal banking specialists in the company for 2 or 3 months. I want to say 2 months, right? Solid. Opened the most accounts than anyone else in the entire state. It was a smaller bank, Bank Atlantic. They were bought out by BB&T. However, the main point of this, I know you didn't ask for it, but it's part of the content, right? When the bank started downsizing, banks downsize, they open up and say, hey, we're going to fire you today for what it is, just let you go. The only reason I kept that job wasn't because I was black, it was because I opened the most accounts of anyone. They were like, damn, this guy knows how to get these guys to sign up and go. Sign up for our bank and leave the bank they were with, Wachovia, Bank of America, Bank Atlantic, or Bank of whatever, and come bank with Bank Atlantic. And they saw the value, even though I was black. But I also realized that I was maybe one of 70 or 100 black specialists opening accounts. It's one of those things that even in the select few, you can't be great, but sometimes you got to highlight that your skin color could be the overall qualification with overly great for a role. Either way, it'll be an attack on DEI. Let me know your thoughts on the Jasmine Crockett interview. I did not mean to sit here for 30 minutes with y'all, but since you're here, if you did watch to the end, let me know your thoughts on my story. Make sure you like and subscribe. Appreciate you for tapping in the channel and being a very intricate part of our growth. Appreciate you. Thank you for liking.